So yeah, to create a variable that we can edit, we're going to create a new variable there by pressing the plus button beside where it says variables. And I'm going to call this jump force. What variable type do you think this should be? Yeah, I'm going to create it as a float. What would another option be? I guess. Which? String group, maybe. There are ways we could use them. You could use an int, I think would work. But one thing we could do is create that as a vector. Okay. Why might we want to create it as a vector? Yeah. What I'll do first is I'll create this as a vector, and then we'll see what way we prefer to use it, basically. Okay. So I'm going to create this as a vector. So vector jump force, perfect. So I'm going to drag this inside here. I'm going to hit get jump force, and I just drag that into here. Okay, that's setting my launch velocity. Now, I can't set a default on this. It says please compile blueprint. So I'm going to compile, and it now lets me change X, Y, and Z. So if I wanted this to be like a bounce pad so that I could put these on walls and they push players off the side, that's why I might want this to be a vector. If I know I'm only ever going to want jump pads and it's going to be jumping on the Y, then I might just create it as a float. Okay, so one thing I can do here is, I can get jump force and I can set jump force. Okay, and yeah, go. I'm gonna move this over here. I'm gonna use this event begin play and drag it onto there. So just when we begin play, it's gonna set this jump force, and we can now have this be. So I can now create a new variable here that is a float, and I'll call this jump Z for my Z value jump. Am I right with Z? And I'm going to set this as a float. I'm going to drag this into here. Get jump Z. And what I'm going to do here is start typing vector. And what I want is, I should have one that's an up vector there. This might be consensitive. So vector. Cool. Oh yeah, actually that is what I want to multiply. I should be able to multiply here float. Sorry, multiply vector by float. I'll do that. And I'm always going to multiply it by 1 because that's my Z value. And this now can be my jump force. Okay, so now I can set this value. Does that make sense what I've done there? That's the Z value of that vector, basically, because I'm multiplying it by an up vector. And once the game begins to play, it's going to set that value to whatever I set in this vector. Does that make sense? What's going on there? So I'm going to hit save and compile. And now I'm going to set the default here to 500. And I'm going to save this again. And let me just make sure that is jump force is plugged into there. That's fine. So now if I press play, I probably won't see any difference, or I shouldn't. Yeah, cool. I'm still getting that jump force. if I click this little eyeball here beside my variable called jump Z, compile this, gonna hit save, jump back out here. You will now see over here, sorry, I need to select this. If I select this, under default here, jump Z, I'm going to set that to 5,000. Oh, sorry, this isn't one. And then I'm just going to drag in, you'll see here, if I drag in another one of these blueprints beside it, once I drag it in, it takes the default value that I set inside the blueprint. Okay, so I can overwrite the blueprint default. This should launch me, yep, something like that. Okay, does that make sense? What's going on there? So basically, no. But basically, that's it. So I'm able to like create these and edit them and tweak them. To show you the other way that might work, just really quickly, is so I'm just gonna, I can right click here and break all pin links, so this will never get set now. And I can set jump force inside the inspector now. I'm gonna hit compile, save. Now I could set this to give me a Y value of, let's say, 500, and we'll see what that's like. Okay. So now if I press play, this one has no value on it. I hit into this one and it. So let me go 5,000. Can you see that there? As I try to run into it, it's knocking me back. Does that make sense? What's going on there? So yeah, that's a way I can use this now, same prefab, the same blueprint for different functions. So it depends if I want the flexibility or not. Oftentimes, you'll just want it to be a jump pad. You don't want to do this other thing, and you can go back and change it if you do. Or else you'd create a different one that does give you that X value. Does that make sense? So that like you'd have custom horizontal push pads or something like that, because you probably want them to be a bit different.
What's the questions? This is what's the difference between doing it this way and not this way? Like dragging a cube in and then like adding the blueprint to it.
So the empty actor just shows us kind of what it does is it like is to give us a place in the world basically. So it's just a way to like orientate us in the level. Okay, so you can, if you want, like you can start off with a cube, and I think that should work fine as well.
Exactly.